Your name is John Kafi.
Hey, yo, live and direct, man. It's your man, J-Boy Yao, rocking with your boy, John Kafi, and this is Kafi Talk. Check in.
Greetings, you are now listening to Kafi Talk, and this is John Kafi. Here at Kafi Talk, we do this for the culture with new episodes every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can check us out online at www.kafi-talk.com. That is KAFI-TALK.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at John_Kafi_. Follow me on Twitter at John_Kafi. Be sure to like that Facebook page at facebook.com/CafiTalkPod. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at Kafi Talk, hosted by John Kafi, and we're also available on Spotify. Once again, that is KAFI. Welcome to Kafi Talk. First order of business, we're going to discuss this 50 worst rappers list that was circulating about a month ago. It was an anonymous list published and it went viral on the internet. And I'm going to run through the list real quick and then do a brief analysis. Okay, number 1 on the list is Silk the Shocker, No Limit. Number 2, Lil Yachty. Number 3, Master P. 4, OJ, the Juice Man. 5, Lil Flip. 6, Lil Pump. 7, Smoke Perp. 8, 6ix9ine. 9, Gutta Gutta. 10, Sean Diddy Combs. 11, Waka Flocka Flame. 12, Coi Leray. 13, Birdman. 14, Vanilla Ice. 15, Kid Boo. 16, Yeet. 17, Benzino. 18, Plies. 19, Blueface. 20, Cardi B. 21, Lil B. 22, Gunna. 23, Chief Keef. 24, Soulja Boy. 25, Manny Fresh. 26, Nick Cannon. 27, Chingy. 28, Saint Lunatics. 29, Bow Wow. 30, C Murder. 31, G Herbo. 32, Riff Raff. 33, French Montana. 34, Yin Yang Twins. 35, Mike Jones. 36, Lil Uzi Vert. 37, it's a double. There's Flo Rida / Pitbull. 38, Young Thug. 39, Petey Pablo. 40, Gucci Man. 41, Designer. 42, Tony Yayo. 43, Tom McDonald. 44, Future. 45, Iggy Azalea. 46, Nelly. 47, RZA. 48, Playboy Cardi. 49, Eazy-E, and 50, NBA Youngboy. Now, from what I can gather from the names on this list is that the author was an older person. I'm assuming he was older, from maybe the 80s or 90s. He's from the north, possibly the east, because there's a lot of southern artists on here. And he may possibly be a hip-hop purist, because a lot of these people were more commercial artists. It kind of addresses like popularity versus cultural contributions versus technical ability as a rapper. I don't know, some of the people on the list, I would say, like, for instance, RZA. He started Wu-Tang Clan, is one of the best hip-hop groups of all time. They contributed to the culture greatly, so he doesn't have a place on there. Eazy-E, the founder of Ruthless Records and NWA, I don't think he really has a place on there. Sean Diddy Combs, he's a mogul of the business. You've got various other people like Gucci Mane, for what it's worth. He was a trap music pioneer, the subgenre of trap music. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that really relate to his perspective on his aspect of the culture. Future, a lot of people don't know, is a Dungeon Family affiliate, so he comes from the actual cloth of Outkast, Goody Mob, etc., etc. He was affiliated with them at a young age. And there's some groundbreaking artists like Nelly from Saint Lunatics, being from St. Louis. They actually have him as a solo artist and his group listed on here. So I think there was a little prejudice as far as regional, I call it geographical prejudice, where they were leaning away from the South and kind of focused a beam on the younger artists such as Kid Boo and Yeet and Cardi B, Playboy Cardi, etc., etc. There are people like, let me see what else we have on here. Chief Keef, he's like kind of like a father of the drill movement. And some people would say that, you know, the trap and drill aspect of hip hop kind of ran it into the ground and took it on a more negative turn than it had ever been before. And that, you know, that may be true. That's all a matter of opinion. But just in terms of the impact of some of these artists, I could say that they probably wouldn't have a place on a list like this. Even though if we're going based on strictly on lyrics, there's a lot of different measuring sticks you can use to judge somebody's lyrical content. It's all a matter of perspective. One person's trash is another person's treasure, you know? So in my personal opinion, I would say a good deal of these artists that I haven't listened to much and don't care to listen to. That's just my particular you know, taste in music. But for instance, someone like a Birdman, Cash Money, while he may not be one of the best rappers, he brought forth Lil Wayne, which a lot of people consider a high-ranking artist. Not only a popular artist, but also a talented artist when it comes to lyrics. Benzino was one of the founders of Source Magazine. While that doesn't really have anything to do with his lyrical ability, I think that sometimes your impact on the culture. He was also Almighty RSO, Made Men, etc., etc. Did a lot of songs with a lot of famous artists. So sometimes your impact on the culture is kind of your way into the culture, is cement your name in the culture more so than the content of your lyrics. A lot of people with great lyrics may not make, or great lyrical ability may not make a huge impact on the culture, and sometimes people with minimal lyrical ability make the most impact on the culture by way of the business. You know, I've discussed before that the business and culture are two different things, but yeah, I mean, when you look at this list here, it's really a matter of opinion, and obviously the opinion of this person kind of leaned more towards older artists, more towards a northerner or east type of artist. And yeah, so French Montana, he had Cocaine City DVDs back in the day before he got signed to Bad Boy Records, so he was making an impact on the local scene in the Bronx. You got Mike Jones on here. He was a member of Swisher House with Slim Thug and Paul Wall, and they made impact for the South. You know, there's just a lot of people on here that may be considered. A lot of people consider Cardi B due to the fact, and let's see, Cardi B due to the fact that she kind of broke through a glass ceiling when it came to female artists as far as all the accolades she's received, and her popularity and her success as an artist. And of course, Coi Leray's on here. That's Benzino's daughter, and she's from the younger generation. So I don't know. I can't really. I will say I would maybe agree with maybe 6ix9ine, Lil Pump. I could kind of maybe relate to that a little bit. But NBA YoungBoy, for example, he's number 50 on the list. They're saying that he's like the new Tupac. Some people have said so. While there can never be another Tupac, I understand, I get it, you know, that he's one of the most popular young artists out today. So yeah, it's all just a matter of perspective. If what's your opinion on it? Take a look at the list. I'll post the list actually in the comments, and you can respond in the comment section of the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. For this episode's edition of Coffee's Krates, we have a few selections for you to check out. The first, of course, would be Psychological Cheat Sheet 3. That's by our special guest, Vic Spencer. It's produced totally by August Fanon, a longtime collaborator with Vic. And you're going to learn a little bit more about this project in just a few minutes, when I talk to Mr. Spencer about his music. Next on the list, we have Billy Woods, all the way from New York City by way of DC, with his new album that just dropped fresh off the presses. It's called Church, Produced by Messiah Music, who was a longtime collaborator with Arm & Hammer, which is a group composed of Billy Woods and Elucid. And this album features Elucid as well as Akai Solo, Fielded, and Fat Ray of Bruiser Brigade from Detroit. That's Danny Brown's crew. Okay, and the last selection we have today is Prodigy of Mobb Deep, the Hegelian Dialectic 2, the Book of Heroin. It features Big Noid and Shinky, longtime Mobb Deep affiliates, Remy Ma, Faith Evans, formerly of Bad Boy Records, and legendary Big Daddy Kane. Some of the producers include DJ Scratch, who used to DJ for EPMD back in the day, DJ Premier, formerly of Gangstar, legendary producer, and Knowledge. This is part of a series. He passed away before he got to complete this one. The first one was the Hegelian Dialectic 1, the Book of Revelation. And next up, I believe the third part of the series was supposed to be called the Book of the Dead, so I don't know if that's going to be released or not. Prodigy is a deceased member of Mobb Deep, and he's got a legendary history for from being a Queensbridge artist. His partner in the group was Havoc, and also Havoc was the regular producer of Mobb Deep. Havoc and Alchemist also did a lot of work with Mobb Deep. So his estate just recently released this album, The Book of Heroin. Be sure to check that out. Now, for those of you that might want to know, the album is named after, the first album was named after the philosophical concept of Hegelian dialectic. It's an argument process explaining the progress of history as being the conflict of ideas where the interactions between thesis and antithesis create synthesis. This idea is the logical foundation stone for Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels' theory of history as the history of class struggle, where the conditions of societal production develop until the oppressed classes necessarily overthrow the oppressor class. So Prodigy was on some stuff. Be sure to check out his past works and any future work that may be released from his estate. And that is all we have for this episode's edition of Coffee's Krates. Be sure to stay tuned in, and we'll keep bringing you those ill tunes to check out.
The area was plagued. That's when a nigga like me had to travel away. One day I realized that nothing is something long as you breathe. Make sure you cop all the weed. I smoke in front of cops. I stay in the lead. And I'm about to cop the sneakers till I turn 83. Strolling and bowling still. Victor, blow the kill while I write my will. Nigga, I was born and I can die. That's the way the game played. Aim spray, I know a lot of niggas that's the same way. I really shit. And they serve all type of shit in the gangway.
Today's special featured guest is none other than Chicago's own Vic Spencer. He's been making waves in the industry for quite some time now, putting his name across all kinds of releases. Releasing stuff on overseas labels and working with a variety of producers. And he actually owns his own label called Old Fart Luggage.
That's right.
First of all, how did you get that name?
Old Fart Luggage came from these girls that was trolling me on Twitter. Like a while ago, I was like Chicago's biggest villain. You know what I'm saying? I was against everybody. I wasn't rocking with nobody in the crib. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And and I was kind of older than all of these artists too. You know what I'm saying? So when people see me going at these cats, women was butting in. This one girl, her name is Troy, and she said, Vic Spencer is the old fart of Chicago. So I just adopted her tweet and made a label.
Oh, yeah.
So shout out to Troy Warren for giving me the name. Now she will swear up and down that I said it because I put it out there. Like, I want to give my special shout outs to Troy Warren for giving me the name. And she was like, well, you the one that said the name. So I actually did like this freestyle for her. She was working with some company, and it was like they was doing like some freestyle some freestyle thing where you interview an artist and then they give you a freestyle.
Right.
And in the beginning of that freestyle, I said it's Vic Spencer, the old fart. Now I didn't put that 2 and 2 together until she said that. That did not inspire the old fart luggage. You know what I'm saying? She called me an old fart. That's where I got it from. You know what I'm saying? So shouts out to her.
Yeah,
That's called rolling with the punches, right?
Absolutely. Turn the negative to a positive for sure.
Right. So what part of Chicago are you originally from?
Man, I was born on the west side of Chicago. I went to high school on the north side of Chicago. And I kind of like incorporated being a man that I am today on the south side of Chicago. So I'm a true Chicagoan, but if I want to be specific, I would say it's south side of Chicago, east side of Chicago. Like on the map, demographically and technically, there's no east side of Chicago. But if you're by the lake, everybody that lives in Chicago or know of Chicago,
right.
You say over east, you're on the east side of Chicago.
Because East Chicago is Indiana, right?
Exactly. So we just say east side, you know what I'm saying, to separate the you know what I'm saying, East Chicago.
So it's the east.
That's definitely.
It's the east of the south side.
It's the east of the south side, yes, sir.
All right. Now, we were talking earlier about some of the labels you've done a lot of work with, which is Dope, Gourmet Deluxe, The Rap Winkle, F Science, Tough Kong, and Coal Mine. Why do you spread your voice around all over the place? I mean, it's a good idea because you're getting spread out all over the place, and a lot of these labels are overseas, but what made you actually take that approach?
Well, you know, I wanted to have, I make a lot of music, you know what I'm saying? I drop a lot of albums, you know? So, you know, a lot of times I would want my music to be under Dope Media because that's where I started from. My first album, The Ghost of Living with Big Ghost, was with Dope Media.
Shout out Big Ghost.
You know, I wanted shout out to Big Ghost, that's Big Bro. And I just wanted to kind of like, you know, keep that relationship going. But then when I realized that I wasn't the only one dropping vinyl on this record company, I had to start channeling out to other record labels to make merchandise for my music. So, you know, I thought it was important to build relationships and landmines with different labels just in case the main primary label Dope Media doesn't pick up a record of mine. So, you know, it's good to have establish these relationships with all these other labels because Dope Media is not the only ones that's dropping vinyl. So I have to keep that in mind, you know what I'm saying, right. and build a network. Just like I build a network with artists, I build a network with these labels because, you know, hands-on, I can't, you know, distribute all of these albums. Right. So it's good to have these relationships with these guys that's gonna ship the album, distribute the album, and you know, my music is catered to the vinyl sound. So I'm always gonna, you know, complete an album and then see what vinyl company would the album fit with.
Right. So your work ethic is so strong, you need multiple labels to accommodate it, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've also worked with a variety of producers. You just named Big Ghost, and before the interview, you were telling me about August Fannin, who you work with. You've also worked with Sonny Jim, Small Professor, Dirty Diggs, Doc the Mindbender. Isn't that one of your homies from where you come from?
Yes, sir. That's my engineer. He's responsible for all of the projects outside of me and his. He mix and masters all of my projects. So, you know what I'm saying? That's that Dr. Mindbender is like, you know what I'm saying, guy everybody should know in regard. When you think Vic Spencer, you think Dr. Mindbender.
No doubt. Out of all these producers I just named, and some maybe I didn't name, who do you think you have the best chemistry with?
I would say I have the best chemistry with Doc and August Fannin. Like I got chemistry with all the guys that I work with because I feel like they all know my sound. They know what Vic Spencer consists of when it comes to sound. So I would say all of them, but specific, if I want to name somebody, I would say Dr. Mindbender and August Fannin and Sonny Jim. Those guys kind of like, you know, they get me.
That's what's up, man. It's always great to have chemistry in an artistic venue, you know, so you can come out with your best work, you know?
Yeah.
Now, and Back in 2015, Rolling Stone magazine had you listed as number 19 out of 40 for the rap album of the year for The Cost of Victory. Now, how did that feel to be in a major published magazine like that?
Man, it was wonderful, man. I was very excited, man, because I thought I needed PR. I thought I needed public relation work to get on these kind of sites. And, you know, I didn't think about freelance writers. They like travel to different companies and write for different companies. And that's what happened to me. It was a writer that happened to write for Rolling Stone that was very fond of my music. And he wrote about it just off the strength, man. It was beautiful. I was hell excited. So shout out to David Drake for going out and spreading the word about Vic Spencer. And I didn't need like no PR work. It was just basically like the music was so great, man. It found its way into a national in a national stratosphere, and I was very grateful for that, man. It was wonderful, man. I didn't expect that. You know what I'm saying? It was very shocking.
No doubt.
And it was during a time when a lot of rappers was at my head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think I was into it with this guy named Mick Jenkins at the time. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, during the time that, you know, the whole Chicago was against me, he butted in because he didn't mind his business. And, you know, we exchanged disc records. Like, it was disc records out.
Really?
This is like, yeah, The Cost of Victory came out in February of 2015. And we were feuding by August, September 2015. And then that list came out in December 2015. And it was like, aha, your shit ain't on here, aha. I laughed at everybody that was against me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm at top 20 on the list. You know what I'm saying?
So how did you become the most hated man in Chicago at that point?
Yeah, you know, because I be too real on Twitter. At one point I was just being too real on Twitter. I'm shitting on everybody on Twitter at one point, man. I was just like this big villain, like, you know what I'm saying? I spoke my mind. I was very outspoken. Right. On Twitter at one point. You know what I'm saying? I had calmed down now, but
you mean like music opinions?
Music opinions, my opinions of Chicago artists. How they, you know what I'm saying, how they play each other. Like, once you're like in this Chicago scene and you're around these certain people and then you rebel yourself from these people because of their behaviors and you discuss that on the internet, it's like, man, you changed or you telling on the secret society, basically. You know what I'm saying? And people don't like that. People don't like when the truth is out. So that's what I was doing. I was being very truthful, very honest, very outspoken. You know, and people don't like that, but that's how I am. That's how I am in real life. I'm gonna speak my mind. I'm gonna speak my truth, and you know, people can't combat that because it's the truth. Yeah, I ain't got no choice but to just call me a hater or call me the villain.
The uncut raw, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are a few people from that scene in Chicago that you blend well with, and some of those are like Chris Crack and Tree from Project Mayhem. Could you say a little bit about connecting with them and working with them?
That's my homie right there. That's my dog, Tree. You know what I'm saying? Tree is currently incarcerated. He should be getting out in January. So you know, shout out to Tree. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For sure.
That's what's up. Are there any other artists? I know myself personally, one of the first times I heard you was on a song with Sean Price. You've also worked with Ghostface and Twista and other people like that. What are some of your most memorable guest features that you've done that go in the record books for you personally?
Of course, Sean Price, man. That's at the top of the list, man. For sure, Sean Price. Like, to actually be in the studio with Sean Price, recording records with Sean Price. Sean Price telling all his friends that I'm the rawest rapper in Illinois. Just watching him say that to people, it's just, you know, that's always going to trump everything. Right. Saying, like, I've loved working with all artists. Like, I've loved working with all artists, but, you know, that's a mind-blowing situation right there. I also got a joint with Cool G Rap that's not out yet. Hey. That's also a mind-blowing situation right there.
You know what my vote is? My vote is, this is my personal opinion, that G Rap is the GOAT. That's my GOAT.
Yeah, G Rap is definitely, you know what I'm saying, one of the greatest.
That stood this test of time.
Yeah, that Diesel song that he got out for this year is definitely nominated for the Song of the Year right now, for sure, in my book.
Yeah.
Definitely still killing at his age right now. He's very inspiring for older artists.
Right. So you travel a lot due to the music. What's your favorite place, I mean, studio to record in or place to perform around the country or overseas that you've been to so far?
Well, I've never been overseas, so that's one of my top goals right now, is to go overseas and touch my fans over there, because I've been, like you said, we've been doing these vinyl runs. So it's very important for me to get overseas very soon. But I like going to LA, man. I love traveling back and forth to LA 3 times a year, working on music. I love going to Dirty Dig Studios. I'm working on an album with them. And I love going to their studio and working, cooking with them and shooting videos out there. Like when I go out to Cali, it's just like, I treat it like home, but with a schedule, you know what I'm saying? And,
right.
And go out and execute and get some work done, man. So that I would say LA, man. Like, give me some bomb weed and out while I'm doing all the good work.
Oh yeah. Speaking of bomb weed, you had a album that was that a weed oriented album, that No Sean Skimps album?
No Sean Skimps album, yeah, that was a real album, a weed album for the smokers. I dropped that on the 420. And yeah, man, that was dedicated to the smokers, man, telling people to put more weed in their rolling utensils. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people be trying to stretch weed. Nah, you know what I'm saying? We actually fatten the diamond swisher up around here. I always talk about how diamond swishers is king. You know what I'm saying? I got one rolled right now, about to steam up to it right now.
No doubt. There's a track on there called Pitbull Piss that a friend of mine actually produced from Indianapolis. I'm based in Indiana, and a friend of mine, The Clinic, he actually produced that track, Pitbull Piss.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah. Pitbull Piss fire.
Yeah. So as far as your other albums, you mentioned a new one that's coming out before the interview that you're geared up to release on the 16th. What's that album called?
Psychological Cheat Sheet Part 3.
Oh yeah, part of the Psychological Cheat Sheet series. Now, is there a theme that runs throughout all 3 of these albums that you've had with that title?
Yeah, it's really like my therapist. Like, Psychological Cheat Sheet album is my therapist. Like, I'm my own therapist, but it gives me a channel where I can talk about previous things that took place in my life, such as being in group homes, and I also was sent to a hospital for 14 days to see if I was diagnosed with something, so my auntie could get paid more money to take care of me. And I wasn't diagnosed with anything, but all of those things are very traumatic, and I've kind of like numbed that feeling throughout my whole life.
Right.
And I always was able to speak my mind on like August for 9 kind of comes from that similar background. And it just almost gives me like a glove that actually fits me when I'm rapping over August for 9 beats and catering to my past and how I deal with my past and numbing it and being able to express myself about it through this series. So that's what this series is really about, being able to tap in with my young self and reflect on some of the things that I've experienced while being in group homes, while being a ward of the state, and not living with my parents, and my parents being drug addicts when I was a kid. So all of that stuff all of that stuff needs to be discussed in a way where I could be impactful for myself and others, but myself first. You know what I'm saying? It's really for me. Like, Psychological Cheat Sheet is really for me to get over some of the things that I've kind of numbed throughout my whole life growing up.
Definitely. And you were mentioning earlier about your line of work involves the youth as well. Would you want to talk a little bit about that and how your own past maybe kind of got you involved in that line of work?
Yeah, the line of work that I do is stemmed from my past because somebody mentored me when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And I listened to them, and they was right on a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So I was easily, it was just like a free layup to make this part of a line of work or a career, because I've been doing this line of work for over 20 years. And I just feel like the job kind of like gives me the it's like a link chain, sort of say, because the mentor that I had was from a link chain that helped other people, and then he instilled in me, I help other people, so I'm like part of the link chain now. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So learning from mentors that looked out for me is what made me choose to go down the youth advocate career, for sure. And my past, it definitely had a lot to do with it.
So that's your official title, is youth advocate
And a mentor?
Youth advocate / mentor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's definitely a noble cause. Now, I do want to stay on the youth aspect for a while and maybe discuss what introduced you to hip hop, or how you discovered hip hop and when.
I discovered hip hop just being with my brother. My first time listening to hip hop was with my brother. You know what I'm saying? My brother used to listen to hardcore hip hop, like West Coast hip hop, or hip hop from like Top Authority and the Dayton family from Michigan.
Oh,
MC
yeah.
Breed.
I know about
he
that.
listened to a lot of
Spice One.
A lot of Spice One. He was fan of all of that stuff, like abbreviated artists, MC Ren, MC8, DJ Quick, like all of those guys. He was fans of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was listening to that, and then what made me channel out from that is listening to Redman. I think I started channeling to listening to like a lot of East Coast rap in the beginning of like individually listening to music. Like individually, it's definitely was East Coast rap mixed with some West Coast rap. I listened to Brother Lynch Hung, I listened to the Loonies, and then on the East Coast I listened to Redman, I listened to Wu-Tang, I listened to a lot of down south music and No Limit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Coming up as well. So I was just like a pot of gumbo, but it definitely did start with Redman, Nas, and Boogie Monsters. And man, you know, 94 was tough. 94 was a tough year. I think that's when I established listening to music individually.
Yeah, Boogie Monsters. That was they had that Honey Dips in Gotham joint.
Honey Dip in Gotham. that's a fire record right there. Recognize thresholds and negative stress. That song blows me away still to this day.
Yeah, it's got some dope vibes on there. Y'all should definitely check those out. The old Boogie Monsters albums. Now, how you said you had more of a, when you were listening to music on your own, you had more of an East Coast approach. How did people around you kind of like react to that when they saw that you were listening to stuff that was more East Coast and more of that type of vibe? Did they have like a weird reaction to it?
Nah, everybody thought that I had like this wonderful ear for music. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just thought like I just knew what great music sounded like. So I always just felt like I was the guy that put people on. Like till this day, if I'm playing an artist and ain't nobody never heard of that artist, I see my friend Shazamming more than anything right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I always felt like I was the guy that put guys on. You know what I'm saying? So people didn't never look at me like, oh man, you being weird because you listening to Wu-Tang. We over here listening to this No Limit. You know what I'm saying? Or you know, we listening to Core Mega, you listening to Cash Money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I listened to both. I was a pot of gumbo. You know what I'm saying? So I put somebody on to a No Limit artist, then I turn around and play the Firm album. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know, I was just all over the place with the music, but people gravitated to it because I just knew what good music sounded like, I guess.
Yeah, and Chicago has a diverse set of musical styles when it comes to hip hop as it is. I mean,
Indeed.
there are people coming from different sides of town that have different different vibes and different approaches. You know, like for instance, Twista, he might do it in the traditional style of like Midwest rapid fire delivery, like chopper style, but also he has actual lyric bars content, you know?
Yeah, he actually slowed down. He slowed down his verse on one of my albums, my last album I did with Sonny J.
Oh, yeah.
Spencer for Hire Part 4. Twista is on there rapping slow.
Oh,
at
yeah,
least for at least 80% of his bars. Then he sped it up.
Legendary Twista.
Legendary.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask you is, do you have like a list of artists that you haven't worked with yet that are like your dream collabs, or someone that you would really like, that you think you would sound really good with?
I feel like I worked with a lot of artists. I would definitely like a West Side Gun curated album.
Oh, yeah.
I would like for Westside Gunn to curate an album for me. I curate all my albums. Like, I come up with all the beats, I sequence it and all that. But to give it into somebody's hand that almost thinks like you when it comes to curating music, that would take a lot of time off my hands. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know he's gonna have me in that Barcelona field. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type to think about, like, man, what if me and Redman was on the song and it was produced by Alchemist and Be Real is on the hook? I'll be thinking
crazy.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be dope.
You know what I'm saying? And Westside Gunn be thinking of stuff like that. He be thinking of the unthinkable. Like, nobody in the underground realm is gonna get a Tyler the Creator produced song on their album. They're not gonna take it that far. They're not gonna take it there. Westside Gunn is not afraid. He's like one of the greatest musicians of our time right now. Like, people would talk about how he's not lyrical and stuff like that, but he's making some of the greatest music of our time right now. So
he's definitely creatively fearless. That's for sure.
Yeah. He does the unthinkable. He does the Barcelona of music. I want that for my career. That's what I want. Like, that's at the top of my list, to have a Westside Gunn curated album. I mean, I don't even have to be with Griselda. You know what I'm saying? If he curates an album for me, invest in me, like an investment, sort of say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's who I want to work for. I don't have no songs with Westside Gunn. I do have a song with Conway that's not out yet. Shout out to all of those guys.
Shout out Griselda.
Yeah, those guys treat me like brothers when they come to the city, man. Like, all of them. Like, they all reach out to me. They all invite me out to places. And,
You've actually been to
Westside Gunn's house, right?
I actually been to Westside Gunn crib. You know what I'm saying? When I came to Atlanta to visit my sister. So it's more like fam stuff more than music with those guys. You know what I'm saying? So I'll take that, because that's better. That'll last longer. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, yeah. There is something that I heard. A little bird told me that you got into a Twitter rap battle with Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah.
How did that come about? It was just like in 2015, right? 2015, something like that.
Early January 2015. Lupe was, before that, Lupe used to be just battling nobodies, like SoundCloud rappers on the Twitter, because they be tweeting back and forth battle raps and stuff like that.
Right.
And somebody challenged him to battle me.
Oh, yeah?
Saying, yeah, they like, man, you a chicken if you don't battle Vic Spencer. And there was a lot of people saying that, and I guess that got his attention. And he said, let's go, and I just sent the first, I fired off at him. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then we went on for a whole day, and that shit was viral. It was all on Complex, and you know what I'm saying? It was on Fake Sure Drive. It was everywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were going back and forth for hours. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then he eventually he followed me, and we DM'd each other that day. It was like, you know, he's like, you're a cool rapper. You know what I'm saying? He's getting off, and you know, it kept it smooth. You know what I'm saying? We still follow each other till this day. So it was a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Good thing came out of it. I wish I would have like promoted my music when all of these like beefs and stuff like that. I don't be thinking about my music. I be thinking about dismantling them. Like, people be thinking I be trying to do stuff to gain some clout or something like that. Nah, I just don't be rocking with a lot of people, and I'll be the first to tell them. And I'm wrong for doing that. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just like, man, I got to go to the bars now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of stuff that people, like, a lot of, like, new Vic Spencer fans, like, they don't know that I got into it with God Fahim. I got into it with, you know, Chance the Rapper and Vic Mensa and Nick Jenkins and all of these people, man. They don't be knowing that I got into it with them because, you know, they not probably promoting it. You know what I'm saying? If I don't say nothing about it, then it's not being, you know, it's not being said. Nobody is saying anything. But when I say something about it, I just be channeled in on that. I just wish I just had the mindset to really be a clout chaser while all of this stuff was going on, because it was just strictly bodying them. That's all I was on. I wasn't trying to do nothing. I was just trying to tell Mick Jenkins that he's not fucking with my music and how I do shit. You're not, you out here, but you're not fucking with what I do on the level of what I do. You know what I'm saying?
So now you mentioned Vic Mensa. Do you ever have a confusion regarding your name and how they rhyme?
Yeah. That's kind of like the reason why motherfuckers, we don't be hanging out, man, because at first it was just like a coinky dink. But now it's just like, man, since he well established and everything, it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Don't confuse me now. I'm like, man, don't confuse me with him. You know what I'm saying? So I be more like, hella reluctant to talk to people when they kind of confuse me with him. It's not no bad thing between me and like everybody. I simmered all of these little crazy, weird beefs and shit, but I just don't, I don't like when people confuse me because I did my work myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't come under their umbrella. Like, you know what I'm saying? You stumble up on my music, you don't even get that Vic Mensa and Zeke physique.
Right.
You don't even get that ordeal. You know what I'm saying? So to confuse me is blasphemy. It's ludicrous. I think it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? They confuse me with Vince Staples. Like, how? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and these are all our government. I mean, Vic Mensa, that's his government name. Vic Spencer is my government name.
Right.
So when people are well established, things change.
So you actually know him personally?
Yeah, at one point I did, but now I don't think I know him personally now. But when he was a shorty from like 15 to like 19, yeah, I knew him personally.
So coming up in the scene in Chi-Town, who were some of the artists that you rubbed elbows with or did shows with?
Man, bro. I know I had did a show with E.C. Illa a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. E.C. Illa,
legendary.
Legendary E.C. Illa. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I rocked a show with him a while ago, but when I was coming up, all I did was like open mics. You know what I'm saying? When I was coming up, I ain't do like no shows with like no artists from Chicago here. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like E.C. Illa at that time was like how I felt right now. Like he always stayed true to himself.
Right.
He rebelled, but he did it his own way. And he wasn't making the music that Do or Die and Twista and Crucial Conflict was making. He was just as hot.
Right.
So he remind me, when I look in the mirror, I see E.C. Illa. Like musically. Like if my music was able to look in the mirror, it would see E.C. Illa because it's like, yeah, all these guys from the crib, they doing all of this other music, but I'm kind of like the only guy that gives you that, this is Chicago's Red Man right here. This is Chicago's Sean Price here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of like the only one that give you that feel like that. You know what I'm saying?
Have you ever built with any of the Mole Man crew or like Vic Hill?
Man, I did. I want to work with Vic Hill. Like me and Vic Hill, we follow each other on Facebook. I know he's tapped in with my music. Of course, a Mole Man, like legendary group of men going crazy. And I did a joint with
Panic.
Yeah, Panic is dope.
Yeah, Panic. Shouts to fucking Panic, man. Panic. Yeah, Panic put me on a song called Soul Shine. You know what I'm saying? We dropped a video for it. He really loved that joint. I really enjoyed recording that joint. You know what I'm saying? And seen him a couple of times after that, man. Wonderful guy. Like, they are legendary. Those are legendary people. You know what I'm saying? I definitely glad when I tap in with Chicago artists, I always breeze back to stuff that I grew up off of. Like Mole Man, Prime Meridian, E.C. Illa, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Prime
Meridian, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Those are kind of people that kind of like...
Mass Hysteria.
Mass Hysteria. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, Mass Hysteria. Yeah, exactly.
So I remember I had I think it's called the 5 Fingers of Death mixtape by the Mole Man, and then I actually bought some music before from Gramophone Records in Chicago. And
dope, Gramophone. Yes,
and some of the DJs, some of the Mole Men
worked up in there at that point in time.
Yeah, see, I was just a young whippersnapper then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I knew of the music, but I didn't know of the people. Like, I knew that I would go to Gramophone and I would go to Just Dance and buy like South Sox Park Mob, just Chicago-based mixtapes, and listen to them joints and don't even know who these people is, but I listen to the joints. That's how I learned who Qualohim was, and you know what I'm saying? Like I was really engaged. I still is, because I still listen to that stuff. I still engage with legends before me from the crib.
Oh yeah,
period.
Definitely. Gotta make that connection with the OGs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It was great and very entertaining to talk to you. Is there anything else, a message you want to leave with the fans or up and coming artists?
Yeah, I mean, no, everything Vic Spencer, man. You know what I'm saying? Very, witty guy. You know what I'm saying? Up close and personal. You know what I'm saying? What you see is what you really get. Hands-on. And, I'm not hard to reach. I talk to all my fans. I reach out, you know what I'm saying? I reach out to fans. You know what I'm saying? I'm in tune with what impact that I've made.
What about those guest features? If fans are interested in getting a guest feature from Vic Spencer.
Guest feature, you know what I'm saying? You reach out to the Vic Spencer. You can reach out to me personally and get that. You know what I'm saying? I got a manager, but a manager, he only do big things. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like a real, like when a person jumps into a shopping cart, that's exactly you know what I'm saying, what you get when you reach out to me for a feature. You know what I'm saying? You get the full access to Vic Spencer for sure. That's
what's up. Well, man, I'd love to have you back if you got some free time in the future after you release the album, so we can discuss it in depth and talk about the creative process.
Let's do it. Listen to that album thoroughly, bro. When it come out, it's very touching. Listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And we get back on it, and we definitely we can discuss it for sure.
That's what's up. Thanks for coming through. Give it up, Vic Spencer.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Kafi.
Appreciate it. Thanks for listening to Coffee Talk. Are you interested in appearing on the podcast? Reach out to me at coffee.talk@gmail.com. Business owners and entrepreneurs are welcome. Sponsorship packages are available to have your product or service featured on Coffee Talk. Once again, that email is coffee.talk@gmail.com. That's KAFI.talk@gmail.com.